The concept of governance means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, depending on the organization and the purpose of that organization. Over the next couple of minutes, we're going to define what governance is, what does it mean in the context of credit unions, what are some of the pitfalls if you don't have an effective governance model in place, and some of the steps you can use today to implement your governance model. Let's get started. The Webster Dictionary simply defines governance as the act or process of governing or overseeing the control and direction of something such as a country or organization. Now, there are two important words in that definition that I want you to hold on to: control and direction. Now, let's move on and talk about what governance means in the context of credit unions. So when your credit union's original founders decided that they had a mission and a vision, they said to themselves, what's the best vehicle for us to achieve this mission and this vision? And they decided on a credit union. They didn't decide on a bank. They didn't decide on any other nonprofit. They decided specifically on a credit union and to be a part of the cooperative movement. Those original directors passed the baton on to another set of directors, to another set of directors, and then eventually those directors decided that they could no longer effectively operate the credit union, so they needed a driver. So there's an analogy that I like to use when I'm describing the governance process in relationship to credit unions. And it goes a little bit like this. Your credit union is a car owned by its members, and those members select a group of directors from amongst themselves to help set the direction of that car. But here's the thing, those directors, more often than not, those volunteers, do not have the requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary to actually operate and drive the car. So those directors select a CEO to be the driver of that car, and then that CEO selects a group of individuals, staff, to help make sure that the car is operating in a safe and sound manner, okay? One important thing to realize in this analogy is that the car itself belongs to who? The members. The car doesn't belong to a director that's been on the board for 20 years, nor does it belong to a CEO who's been sitting in that seat or been in charge of the CEO function for 20 years. The car belongs to the members. And those members do what? Select directors, and directors select the CEO. Governance is a dance that happens between the management and the board. And if you don't agree on the song beforehand, you can have one group doing the cha-cha, while the other group is doing the waltz, and someone eventually steps on someone else's toes. So here's some examples of board overstep. You know what? Let's not do specific examples. Let me tell you why. There's always a subset of individuals that will listen to a group of examples, not hear something that specifically applies to their individual institution. And if they don't hear it, then that gives them license to toss out the entire concept and gives them reason to not make any changes because it doesn't apply to them, because when you gave the examples of management overstep, we don't do that. And when you gave examples of board overstep, we don't do that. Therefore, we're in the clear. So let me give you a more general premise as to why governance is important for your credit union. Governance makes your institution impervious to human nature. So, okay, right now you have a great board, everybody works together, everybody's personality is the same, everyone shows up to the board meetings prepared, but what if that wasn't the case? How would you fix that? What if you have it now, but it starts to change over the next 5 years? How would you get it back in line? As another example, you have a great manager right now, been with you 20 years, growing your credit union from $300 million to $1 billion. But what about the next one? Are you going to afford that new CEO the same confidence and trust that you gave your current CEO? Governance ensures that your institution has within its DNA the mechanisms, policies, and protocol necessary to ensure your organization's mission, values, vision, and strategic goals will always be met. And in order to get it implemented, you have to make the institution itself bigger than any one individual, bigger than the chair, bigger than the CEO, okay? Meaning that no one person should be able to override what's good for the institution as a whole. The key to successful governance is to align your institution's mission, vision, and strategic goals with management's vested special interests. And what it typically is management's vested special interest? Compensation. What do you mean by that? You can't expect each manager, CEO, CFO to be completely on board with your institution's mission and vision. Some of them are just operators. Some of them are amazing bankers that happen to be at credit unions. And so you wanting to do well for your community, it may not be at the top of their list. At the top of their list may be to make sure that your institution is operating in a safe and sound manner and that they're hitting their numbers. But how does that benefit you or your community if the credit union is just hitting their numbers? Do you get anything for that? Do you get a bonus? And so in order to ensure that your management team is always focused on the numbers, safety and soundness, and also the mission and the vision of your organization, is that you have to compensate them for hitting your mission goals, and you have to specify what you want out of those goals. Let me just give you an example. Some institutions within the last 9 months have had very anemic responses to COVID-19 for their members. And some of that has a lot to do with the manager saying, well, we can't do a loan program because that might make our past dues go up. We can't do a no-doc quick loan program to help people get groceries ahead of the quarantine because at the end of the year, that's going to hurt my numbers. When you only focus on numbers as a means for compensating your managers, guess what they're going to put their attention on? The numbers. On the other hand, if within your mission, you make it a priority to help your members, to help your community, and then you specifically spell out what that means for your institution, and then you tell management, yes, hit the numbers and I'll compensate you for hitting those numbers, but if you hit these member-oriented goals, these community-oriented goals, you can get additional compensation. Now, they'll focus on it, okay? You will not get both unless you align your institution's mission, vision, and strategic goals with management's vested special interest. That is the key to governance. Don't hope for it.